What is going on, everyone? Welcome back into the College Football After Dark, right here on the Voice of College Football on Sunday nights. It is just me, Ben, from Ben and Sam on YouTube here. Please do consider checking out all the other channels. The Big Ten channel, hosted right here by John D'Animo, as well as the Big Devil channel, as well as all the other team channels, because you will always find college football here 365 days a year. So one by one, please, as we have. John is a guest. He hasn't been on much this season. He's been busy. So one by one, John, new kings of college football, and Jackson, introduce yourselves and where people can stalk you online.
All right. Yeah. Love the stalking. So I want to begin by saying, who's got it better than us in chat and new kings of college football? Nobody. Yes. So my name's John D'Animo. I host the Big Ten Live show, The Ocho, here at the Voice of College Football, 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday nights, right after Mark Rogers, Voice of College Football, does his call-in show for the Big Ten Live. And then Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, Michigan Wolverines live at the Voice of College Football. So that's me. You can find me on Twitter at John D'Animo, and it's great to be the champion.
Well, I guess it's my turn. I'm Jackson Johnson, and sometimes you'll find me on the Voice of College Football, and sometimes you can also find me on the show The Jacksonian, especially my latest episode with Tyler Rowland, the host of Locked On Titans, where we went over what the Titans need to do this offseason. And I will put that link in a little bit. It's a great watch. Check it out. And you can also find me on Twitter at Jackson09960335, where you just kind of see me run my mouth about everything going on under the sun. And you can also find me on Instagram and Threads at JacksonJohnson543908.
Yeah, the reason I didn't go was because all year I was saying you could find me in Houston, but that's done with now, so can't use that line.
I'm in Houston. I stayed off the roads that night. I was not going to get involved with that. I'm not near NRG,
No.
but I was not going to get involved with that at all. Last time, the Super Bowl was here, I was like, oh my God. It was crazy. But I'm just Ben and Sam here on Exploring with Ben and Sam on YouTube, or Exploring with Ben on Twitter and all the other fancy social media stuff. Go stalk me there or something. I don't care. So,
let's get Ben to 100 followers on Twitter, man. Let's get him 1,000.
Let's go.
I don't post either. It's like I have it, but I don't post. People send me Twitter stuff, and I'm like, all right, cool. Well, unfortunately, the worst news to start off with for the downer, then we'll get into the better stuff, is the college football season is over.
No.
So regardless of the good news, that's the sad news. And the long off season begins. And at least for Jackson, I think have to start with, because it was probably definitely was the biggest news following the season immediately, was the retirement, which was inevitable. Everyone knew it was coming. I think it was just kind of a surprise. It came kind of just abruptly, was the retirement of Nick Saban, who, as you see at the bottom there of the banner, 201-29 record in 17 seasons at Alabama, 0 losing seasons completely as a college football coach, 4 Heisman winners, 49 first-round draft picks, and 7 national titles and 11 SEC championships. That's ridiculous. It's the end of a legacy. I mean, really. So Jackson, you're the Bama guy. I mean, what do you think? What do you feel, about it?
Well, the day that it happened, right, it was like a couple hours after finding out the news of Pete Carroll, not being the Seahawks head coach. And I'm sitting here making sure I got everything all set for episode 25 of the Jacksonian the next day. Then when I find the news of Nick Saban retiring, I'm going to be real, I felt like I was hit by a truck when it happened. I mean, that's the feeling that I felt. but I understood why Saban retired. It was like I'm sad that he did, but he felt like he needed to retire. And I think it was the NIL era that was part of it, but you could watch a little more as to why he retired in the interview with Reese Davis. I mean, I watched a little bit of it. It was I understood it a little bit more. And, when we were looking at the coaching candidacy for Alabama, I felt like we don't need to be hiring anybody from the Saban era because, they coached under Saban. Because we did that in the 80s when we hired Ray Perkins and DeBoer and all those guys because we thought, we're going to go back to the good old days. You can't do that. This isn't 90s Nickelodeon. You're coaching a college football team. Or some people, think of it as, you're running a business. You can't be looking at something and go, I want to bring back the good old days. Let's bring back that person. You don't do that. And we didn't do that. And I love what we have done by getting Kalen DeBoer. Because, there was a reason why we looked at the Washington coaching staff this time last year. We were like, we got to get Ryan Grubb.
I think it was a great hire.
It was tremendous.
I think.
I know. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think it was a great hire. I see a lot of people trying to troll like he was the fifth option. Let me tell you, man. Even if he was the fifth option, to me that was the best option. Honestly, the dude, he's done nothing but win. He was just in the national championship game with the Huskies.
Yeah.
Great hire, man.
And I will say real quick that I'm glad that Nick Saban said it wasn't because of an illness that he retired. So I recommend. By the way, I've kind of not been the nicest about Reese Davis this season, given his coverage of Michigan. But his interview of Nick Saban is one of the best I've seen. His best that he's done. Nick Saban, you can actually get a sense of his psyche and like behind the scenes of the decision of why he left. So I strongly recommend, if you haven't listened to it, if you're interested in college football, it's worth a listen. And he might go into broadcasting next. We don't know. So just listen in and you'll
he's got the voice for it.
But as for DeBoer, I think he's a home run hire, Jackson. So great job there.
I think he's a tremendous hire. And I know that there are some people that have watched Alabama their whole lives, and unfortunately they're not staying up for Pac-12 after dark and some of the other games, like some of us, unfortunately. So they're just kind of just like, he doesn't have any Bama ties. It's not good. And I looked at a tweet from Josh Pate where he was talking about some of the people that said that Kalen DeBoer is a bad hire because of his lack of ties to the Southeast were the same people saying Scott Frost was going to work out at Nebraska because Nebraska was his alma mater.
It's kind of surprising if you look back and you think of people who've gone to their alma maters. Recently has not gone so well.
Harbaugh's an exception.
Well, Harbaugh's an exception, but it did take a few years, and in Alabama they wouldn't even put up with probably that. They'd be like, no. But you look at Mario Cristobal, you look at Scott Frost.
True.
And it hadn't exactly worked. And Scott Frost got a lot of time.
Oh yeah.
He had quite a bit of time.
Yeah, the Bama boosters would be like,
Yeah, Bama would be like,
and his salary is
more
can his ass.
The thing with Scott Frost to me at the time was he didn't coach at a Power 5 level yet. Kalen DeBoer succeeded at a Power 5 level at a spectacular fashion. So I think it's going to work.
Oh man, it'll be tremendous. We've seen what he's done at Washington. We've seen what he's done at Fresno State. We've seen what he's done at Sioux Falls. He's been a consistent winner his whole coaching career.
I don't have his stats in front of me. I think if you put everything together, it's something like, as a head coach anyways, I think if you exclude some of the other, it goes down a little bit, but it's like 110 and 120 or something as a head coach, or less than that, 120, 110 and like 12 or something as a head coach.
104 to 12.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
A ridiculous
These are-
All he
percentage.
does is win. He's going to put
All
together a great staff for you, Jackson. He's already, I believe, Grubb is coming, and the wide receivers coach is coming. The guy took a 4-8 dumpster fire program and took it to the national championship game in 2 years. That is incredible. And in chat or anybody in the panel, let me know who else took a 4-8 or a team that bad into the national championship in 2 years. It's got to be a short list.
And also, Kalen DeBoer is 7-3 straight up as an underdog. So, I mean, I've got nothing to worry about with this guy.
Hey, not only that, Jackson, I think he's only lost one ranked matchup, which is obviously the one we just saw. So he's won every ranked matchup.
Yeah, I mean, that makes me feel good to see how he's going to do in the big games, because like I'm glad that, and it seems to me we're letting him run the team, as well as we should. Because I mean, before we hired Nick Saban, he was like, "Look, if I'm going to be your head coach, let me run the team as I see fit," and it worked out. And it seems like they're doing the same thing with Kalen DeBoer. It's working, and I got a feeling it's going to work out nicely.
What I will say. Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it. Go for it.
I was gonna say what I will say though is Kirby Smart has an opportunity here to really put his foot on the throat of college football. If Jim Harbaugh doesn't stay, well, yeah.
For Nick Saban though, Jackson, what was like some of your it's hard to just on the spot because I didn't ask you this beforehand. Name like one or two of your favorite Nick Saban moments. It's not like winning the first Alabama title or something. Like it could be one of those interview moments where he just like loses it on the reporters or something. I mean, like one of those
rat
things.
poison. That's one of my favorite moments. And oh man, I love watching. How Coach Saban was on and off the field. He's a great guy, terrific winner. And, it's going to be sad not seeing him coaching this season. But, I mean, hey, maybe we'll see him on, like, the Patrick Bet David podcast or, like, the Joe Rogan experience. That would be cool. Or, maybe he can come on here on the Voice of College Football. Who knows?
There you go.
I mean, as far as I know, Bama's keeping him. He said he wants to stay around and assist as much as possible. I mean, like the day after he retired, he went into the office.
Yeah,
he's pulling it. He's pulling an Urban Meyer. He's pulling an Urban Meyer. You know how Urban Meyer stuck around after everything.
He has an office in the stadium apparently, so he's going to be around the program, kind of helping out, advising.
I mean. He's established there. I mean, he's not going anywhere. He's just not coaching.
True. I just wonder if we'll see him on TV or if he'll like do a podcast with Bill Belichick. That's a good one.
That would be.
That would
be an interesting. That would be an interesting podcast, actually. Nick Saban and Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick's about to be the next Cowboys head coach.
Think so?
No. He's not going to be. Because, I mean, Bill Parcells only lasted 4 years working for Jerry Jones. I doubt Belichick is going to be working even 2 years. I don't even think Bill Belichick looks like the guy that would last half a season with Jerry Jones.
That's true. I mean, Tom Brady's the reason for their success anyways. A Michigan man.
Yeah.
No, that was pretty clear especially after like 1 to 2 seasons. That was very clear. A lot of that was Tom Brady. That was very, very clear.
Yeah, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. goes to my Tampa Bay Buccaneers and goes and wins the Super Bowl and calls up Karank and calls up everybody and says let's go run it back, win a 7th Super Bowl. And meanwhile, Bill Belichick, it goes the other way.
Yeah, man. Tom Brady, the greatest organization in sports.
He's a winner.
But who do you really think, Jackson? Because you're the Alabama insider here. Who do you think was the and obviously DeBoer? And I do think there have been some people in the chat who said DeBoer, meh, whatever. I do think that was a good hire.
It's
Trust me,
tremendous.
I've actually we've played against him for 2 years, and it's actually I think 3 times, well 4 times total because we played against him. We beat him when he was at Fresno State,
Yeah,
1 year, but
1 and 3.
yeah, so we're 1 and 3 against him, and yeah, he's a hell of a coach. The problem is the recruiting, but who do you think was Alabama's main hit list? Like, who do you think they were truly looking at? Because we were talking about beforehand. That's why Oregon fans, like I said, people were like, literally,
Well,
like, we're about to
obviously-
jump off a building again. And I'm like, calm down, everyone. Calm down.
Yeah. Because I mean, that's a good question. I thought that Lanning would be on the list, because I mean, on the one hand, Oregon lost Chip Kelly to the Eagles, Willie Taggart to Florida State, and Mario Tom Cristobal to Miami.
Which I mean, you can't blame Chip Kelly. Success, go to the NFL. You're going to take that type of jump. Willie Taggart, 1 year, okay, sustain, go to your dream job. Fine, whatever, goodbye. Thank you for coming. Cristobal to his alma mater, can't quite blame him too much, and Oregon didn't even fight to keep him. But it still sucked, obviously. It was like, again, here we go. Back on this trail.
Oh, yeah. And, if this search was 5 years ago, Dabo Swinney would have been on the list. But unfortunately, his inability to adapt to the transfer portal has been hurting him quite a lot. Because, Dabo, is too focused on these kids these days. Look, you're right and all, but do you want to be right or do you want to freaking win, Dabo? You want to win? Then you got to adapt. And then we got Lane Kiffin and Steve Sarkisian on that list. Because, I mean, they both worked under Nick Saban. He revitalized their careers. And you look at Lane Kiffin, he already replaced a legend in Pete Carroll in 2010. You know for a fact, he wouldn't have minded being the guy that replaces the GOAT. And same thing with Sarkisian. I mean, I don't think Sark has like a big ego like Lane Kiffin, but he wouldn't have minded it.
Yeah, I think you've got to give, speaking of legends, you've got to give legend status to Jimmy Sexton, the agent of most of these coaches, who just got a bunch of coaches a big fat raise the last week, leveraging the Alabama job. Whether it's Lanning, whether it's I don't know if Sark is under him or not, but a bunch of them just got big fat raises, or
I'm sure
they'll be announced in the next year, the next couple months.
Oh yeah. He made a free real estate move for sure.
That was, I mean, and everyone after it was just funny on the Oregon side of it because again, everyone's freaking out, going, Lanning's in Tuscaloosa. Here's the plane tracker from Eugene, and it was like Lanning was literally sitting at home watching a movie with his kids, going, "What the hell are people talking about?" Like, and I was like, "Everyone, calm down, relax. We'll find out tomorrow. Relax."
Oh man!
And then nothing, but and then Bama fans came out and were like, "He was never even on the list. Don't worry, we never even called. There's no confirmation of that." And I was like, "Is this Bama fans being salty that potentially their first choice turned them down?" I was just, it was kind of funny because immediately it was like, he wasn't even called. I was like, he probably got a call. He probably did get a call.
Well, sure. and I know people talked about how DeBoer wasn't exactly the first choice of Alabama. Funny thing is, Saban wasn't the first choice. We were going for Rich Rod, and guess what? Thank goodness we didn't go for Rich Rod. I can tell you that. USC in 2000. Pete Carroll wasn't exactly their first, second, or even third or fourth choice. You see where we had the 2000s were a dominant decade by USC.
Yep.
So, I mean, being the first choice or, getting your third, fourth, fifth choice isn't always a bad thing. All we have to do is look at recent history.
You'll find out in a few years, good or bad, one way or the other, no matter who it is. So, I mean, always hiring a new coach after someone like Saban is going to be a risky proposition.
Yeah, I mean, replacing the GOAT, man, that's there's gonna be a lot of pressure. I'm not gonna lie. That's the drawback to being the Nets head coach of Alabama. Is there's gonna be those 4 or 5 fans going, well, that's not what Nick Saban would have done. Nick Saban would have done this. Nick Saban would have done that. It's like, the parents' friends in small town America that are always getting on to you for not doing what your parents did. It's kind of like that.
That's why it's a tough job to fill.
Yeah, and it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a great next few years. I think it'll be fine. But it's like you said, New Kings of college football. Kirby has an opportunity to really dominate college football, take over the town, so to speak.
Oh yeah, 100%. All the recruits that Alabama was getting and competing with, he has a leg up now with all that, and he was already, recruiting best of the best. So,
well, in a way, I think this somewhat makes things easier for Ole Miss because I mean they're not playing Alabama annually anymore with the new SEC schedule that they got.
Mm-hmm.
And what's going to be going on with the Ole Miss Rebels as well? What does everybody think?
I don't know. I mean, they kept their guys. So I mean,
yeah,
it's that
Judkins. Yeah, the trajectory though is still good for them. So
well, in Texas,
it'd be nice to see Kiffin win a big game at some point. Kiffin is one of these coaches that continues to get named in all these different job searches and articles and everything else. But name the last big game in the SEC that he's won. I mean, he beat Penn State, which that's an okay win. But LSU.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I mean, it is right. Like the Magnolia Bowl, after all, one of the biggest rivalries in college football.
For the SEC.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to still learn all of the massive amounts of Big Ten rivalries where everyone has a freaking trophy. I have to learn all those still. I have to learn all of these now.
Welcome to the Big Ten, buddy. It's all over. You got the little brown jug. You got everything.
Yeah, I have to learn and remember all of these. Otherwise, I'm gonna get yelled at. So Alabama got their guy. What does that mean? Obviously, we had a little bit more conversation until earlier. But why do you think, because we were talking about there's multiple reasons probably why, and maybe it's a combination of reasons, for DeBoer, as you just said, took this team, last year had probably the quietest, 10-win, 11-win season. This year went all the way to the title game at 14-0, to lose in the title game, and then jumps to Alabama. And there's multiple reasons why, and it's a combination of things, but what is everyone's opinion here as to why, potentially he left? Because I have been listening to a lot of Husky podcasts. So what do you guys think it is?
I think it's simple, man. One of the great jobs in college football opened up, and he was offered probably a ton of money. Maybe the Huskies couldn't match it. But at the end of the day, man, it's hard to pass up when you got aspirations of being a great coach.
Yeah, I think it's money. I from what I hear, it's 92 million over 6 years or something like that. I mean, he's going to be in the 10, 11 million range a year. He's got resources, unlimited resources. NIL's been improving for Alabama. The weather is better. The taxes are nowhere near
Whoa.
what?
Alabama weather sucks. Are you kidding me?
compared
It's
to
hot,
compared
it's
to
humid,
Washington.
it's hot, it's humid. It's
It
Tuscaloosa.
rains
I have
constantly in
been to
Washington.
Tuscaloosa multiple times.
Okay. Okay, we'll strike that one. Still
That's me
all the other
personally,
reasons. Still all the other reasons I listed. Yeah, it is going to be tough because you're following the GOAT. So you're going to be held to a very tough standard, and whoever took that job was going to be held to that. But I think they made a slam dunk hire, and I think they made the right hire for the program.
Shut up, Tony. I live in Houston. It sucks too. What about you, Jackson? What do you think it was for Alabama? I mean, was it just the program? Was it,
I think that you can get more status at Alabama than you could at Washington. And it's easier to recruit at Alabama than it is at Washington.
Wow, just
that for everything is probably the number one reason why, according to most of the Husky podcasts I heard, because whatever Alabama's paying him, let's say Alabama's paying him $10 million a year, like you were saying, 10 and a half. Washington was reaching 9.5 to 10 for him. That was going to be their offer. They were going to up it to offer him this, basically almost match it. What he wanted was, so, and this is by them. This is not from my own personal knowledge. This is from every podcast I've seen. Is so say Alabama literally has like something like a 30 to 40 person recruiting staff. Washington has 8. He wanted to double that, and Washington was like, "Nah, I don't know about that." And he's like, "Then I can't recruit people." So it was the recruiting power plus the NIL. I'm sure had something to do with it. There were. That's why I think it was a combination of multiple things. But I heard it was a lot of it was the recruiting staff.
I think you could put that all under the umbrella of he just went to a great program and he couldn't pass it up.
That's what I mean. I mean, the Washington wanted to match like his pay and all that stuff, but they just they were like, nah, not for the other stuff. Like, just didn't want to deal with it, and that was enough for a coach that wants to win. And he has said in the past, DeBoer has said, I want to win at all costs. So if it's to go somewhere for 2 years and then move on to something better where he thinks he can win, I mean, so be it. I mean, that's on the university then, not on DeBoer.
Yeah.
As to Washington, then, that was the next topic was, where does Washington go? Well, unfortunately, that got screwed up a couple hours ago. Thank you very much, news media. Washington has their man who was, I definitely think, had to be one of their top 3 they had to call.
Mm-hmm.
And
great hire, by the way.
Amazing. It's an amazing hire for Washington. Getting Jedd Fisch out of Arizona. That's the things that he's done with Arizona in the few years that he's been there is absolutely, it's been phenomenal this year, especially. It was like, geez, I mean, 10-win season. He was actually in the running for the Pac-12 championship game.
Yeah.
He was 1 game behind, like potentially to get into the title game. I mean, he's done a fantastic job.
True. I mean, he's done a tremendous job over at Arizona. And I thought he was going to stay until Washington opened up. And, I know that Chris Kleiman and Lance Leopold were coaching candidates. And, Kansas Nation, they got worried for a moment that Lance Leopold was going to leave for Washington. Well, some of Kansas Nation, but once this announcement showed up on Twitter or X or Twits, as Moose calls it.
Twix, yeah.
Yep. This is what Lance Leopold said. The guys come back to campus tomorrow. Can't wait to get back to work with them in 2024. Rock chalk. Now,
Somebody's getting a big fat extension.
yeah.
He should. I mean, he should.
Yeah.
I said like last year, I was like, they need to extend this man and make sure they hold on to him because you are better.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, Washington, Washington, good for them. I mean, Jedd Fisch, Michigan fans know that Jedd Fisch was a big part of the reason in 2015 and 2016 that Michigan had the offensive success that they had. When he left and Pep Hamilton was responsible and Tim Drevno was responsible for the offense, things fell off a cliff in 2017. So Jedd Fisch helped with the offense. He goes to UCLA and I think did pretty well there. And then he goes to the Arizona Wildcats, takes a 1-11 program. And then now third year, 10-3 with the Alamo Bowl win. Pretty impressive turnaround at Arizona after the Rich Rod years and kind of the basement years that they had for a while. So great hire.
Yeah, I mean it's an A hire right there. I give that hire an A.
Oh yeah, no. Jason here makes a good point. Jedd Fisch has spent a lot of time in the NFL and a lot of places. I think Cover 3 said something like in 26 years, 26 years, he's been at 17 stops. Now, some of that's not to his own accord. That could be a staff change, whatever. But he does bounce around a lot. But then again, I bet he got quite a raise because Arizona has some financial issues going on with their program. And so someone else asked, like, who will Arizona get? Especially because I think Jedd Fisch could take Fafita with him.
True. And, when looking back on September 30th between Washington and Arizona, who'd have thought Washington would be watching the Nets head coach go against them?
Yeah.
I mean,
Washington made a great hire, though. That's plain and simple.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's tremendous.
But then, that's a question I didn't even think about. Like, what does Arizona do? Because you're going to see players depart. Again, Jedd Fisch might take Fafita with him.
True.
Part of his staff. Because, like, we didn't even say, Washington was potentially, I thought they were going to stick with Grubb maybe and just promote him to keep continuity. But they look the other way. Now Grubb might go with DeBoer to Alabama.
Oh, he will.
And Arizona has financial trouble. That university is, I think are they technically in debt?
Well, you talked about a little while ago about Pete Carroll. I think it's his son, Brennan Carroll, who's the OC. Maybe they promote him from within, or if they want to go for the group of 5 hires, which I don't think they're getting a Power 5 head coach. Let's be real. They're going to probably lean towards Jamie Chadwell at Liberty, or maybe they get G.J. King from Texas State, or maybe they get Barry Odom from UNLV.
What about
Jeff Traylor from UTSA?
Yeah, Jeff Traylor. I was like, the guy from UTSA, for some reason his name was escaping me. I was like, maybe Jeff Traylor?
That's a good one right there. I mean, me personally, I'm kind of thinking about Jamie Chadwell because, I mean, why doesn't anybody ever call that guy? I mean, the work he's done at Coastal Carolina and the work he's done at the 1 year at Liberty, and what he's likely going to accomplish in his second year at Liberty, which he's likely going to be he's still going to be head coach 2024. So I mean, we believe he can get. I believe he can get the job done. I mean, I know people talked about John Shire as a coaching candidate leaving Tulane, but I doubt that very highly because he just showed up to New Orleans.
Well, we have seen that before. Manny Diaz.
Manny Diaz. It was like 30 minutes after Mark Ritt retired. Manny Diaz like, let's see. Temple 2019 season. Yeah, screw that. I'm going back home to Miami.
Yeah, we have seen it before, and actually that would be an upgrade. Tulane technically to Arizona, so it would actually be an upgrade also. So I mean, but we have seen it happen. It's not unheard of.
True.
I'm thinking the only other news, I mean, at least that I have in my mind that we had in our that it had on the list was, there were a lot of reports, and it's been going on for a while. Was screw it, I'm going to the draft. That's what I heard multiple times. But Cam Ward apparently is going to Miami from Washington State. He is going to Miami, so
he got that bag.
Cristobal can ruin his prospects even more.
Hey, but they throwing that bag at him.
Yeah, I need to find that that announcement, the recruiting announcement from what was it? Aaron Scott, or was it Justin's? One of the Scotts.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It was the reigning cash. I need to find that.
I'm sure.
Hey, man, the NIL era is funny, man, because Florida State just got in trouble. But it's like, how many programs do you think are doing that?
Well, Miami's definitely one of the. If they don't have the NCAA looking at them, they probably. I mean, Florida State obviously has the NCAA looking at them. Meanwhile, Miami's got recruits that are just blatantly putting dollar bills in their announcement.
Or you got recruits rolling up to sign letters of intent in Lambos. And Corvettes and all this crazy.
Just obnoxious.
Yeah. No. I don't know. I mean, I get Cam Ward wanting to go somewhere else. I don't know if he'd been better off just going to the draft, like Jason says, because I'm sorry, every quarterback almost that Mario's had outside of Herbert, he has ruined, and even that he tried to ruin Herbert almost inadvertently. It's just like a product of like his system and style. It's just like good luck, Cam. I mean. I guess as long as you're getting your money.
Well, it looks like we may be seeing some history here in a little bit. For the first time since the 91 season, since January 5th, 1992, the Detroit Lions are about to officiate their first playoff game.
Hey, man, the fan base deserves it, man. It's been a long drought.
Well, I mean, Campbell's done a tremendous job over at the Lions. I mean,
hey, man, I'll take a tough program over a soft one, if you know what I mean.
There you go.
Exhibit A, people. There it is.
That is a
literal bags of
that is a hideous flyer to begin with.
I mean, can they make it any more obvious?
And why do they have a national championship trophy in there when they haven't? Why is that in there?
What since 2001?
Well, and that's a CFP playoff trophy.
That's why I was like, why is that in there?
It's a little misleading, a little false advertising there.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy that they're so blatant about it. They're just putting the money in the actual commitment posters now.
Oh, but, Mr. Campbell's a happy man.
Hey, man, we gonna talk about this national championship? Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah,
that's what we got. We had to get some of the news. We had to get some of the news out of the way, and that's why I'm going to let it go on with you guys, especially the Michigan ones here, because we watched the title game, but congratulations to Michigan on winning the national title for the 2023 season after a perfect 15-0 record and taking down the aforementioned Washington Huskies in the title game.
Hey, man.
The first national championship since 1997 and the first solo national championship since the 1948 season with Benny Osterbein. How do you guys feel?
Hey, man, let me say this, man. It's the purest national champion in the history of college football.
Okay. We'll go. John even is like,
hey man,
but
everybody.
I'm gonna let you guys have your time here with the Michigan talk because that's what we're here to. We're here to hail. Regardless, we're here to hail the new reigning national college football champions. So
hey, let me put it. Let me put it like this, man, for you. 6 games, no head coach. Everybody, first of all, got a sign stealer. Even though we did it how we did it, supposedly, everybody got a regular sign stealer. We didn't even have that. We had to go straight off X's and O's. We couldn't even read the signs in those last 6 games. So when I say it's the purest national champion, we had an eye on us. We had everybody doubting us. The pressure. We had the weight of the world on us. We didn't even have a head coach for his 2 top 10 teams. We took out Saban. Saban's last handshake is Jim Harbaugh. So yeah, we the champs, and you're gonna have to deal with it.
JJ McCarthy 3 years ago when he was recruited for Michigan, the program was in a rough state, and most people would agree that the program was in a rough state. Jim Harbaugh had to accept a 50% pay cut. And JJ McCarthy said, I'm going to do everything I can to beat Ohio State. I'm going to do everything I can to win the Big Ten championship. And I'm going to do everything I can to win the national championship. Promises kept, promises delivered. And now JJ McCarthy, go be great in the NFL, man. Go be great.
He's the GOAT of Michigan quarterbacks, man. 27-1, multiple Big Ten champion, national champion. You know how many players can say they went 15-0? I know there's not any player on Ohio State that could ever say that. That could say they went 15-0. I know that for a fact.
Well, we've won 15 consecutive games on a few separate occasions.
You've had a 15-0 season?
We made a pretty good habit of winning that last regular season game for a long time, so that helped.
Hey, man, I don't remember what I was doing in 2019, man. But anyways, look, man, one of the greatest national champions of all time, period. And by the way, how about this stat? First team since 01 Miami to lead every single team at halftime. First team since 2011, Alabama, to not let a single team score more than 24 points in a single game. Yep. Only time they trailed at half all year, or after half, was versus Bama. And this was without their head coach for 6 games. This was dealing with all the pressure in the world. This was playing 5 ranked teams in your last 6 games.
This is also playing maybe the worst schedule of any team that ever won a national championship ever, too. So I do have to throw that in there.
I love to hear the argument for that. But anyways, playing 5. I don't know. I'd have to go back. I don't know how many teams played 5 ranked teams in their last 6 games. And they had to beat them all, 2 of which was without their head coach.
Iowa was only ranked because they play in the garbage Big Ten.
Okay, well, I mean, look, man, we could go through history. 2014 Ohio State lost to a 6-win team. They barely beat a 5-win Brady Hoke team. I don't even think they played as many ranked teams actually as Michigan did this year. But we ain't getting into that. Man. Well, we the national champs. We the kings of college football. We one of the most impressive national champions of all time. Period.
Well, one thing I'm going to mention on that real quick, and by the way, everyone should check out Michigan Wolverines live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. But one thing I'm gonna mention real quick is that Sean isn't wrong. The fact of the matter is, Michigan had to win every single game to win this national championship.
Question.
So I actually think it's positive that it happened because Michigan had to become one of the 4 teams to go 15-0 in the modern era to win the national championship. One loss by 1 point to any team in the regular season, CFP ain't putting them in.
No.
Period. At least I don't think they are.
No.
So,
and also,
I'm not dogging Michigan. Like I think almost every team should schedule complete dog game for their non-conference schedule. Ohio State's schedule non-con next year is a piece of shit too. And I think that I think if you want to do the best thing for your program, that's how you should go about it because you lose any game during the regular season and you're putting yourself in jeopardy.
That's true, but I would also argue they played in arguably the toughest division in college football when you have to play both Penn State. How's it not? They had to play both Penn State and Ohio State, two top 10 teams.
Because Indiana and Michigan State suck. Maryland, decent. Rutgers is meh.
What other division in college football you have to go through 2 top 10, borderline top 5 programs? I'll wait.
The SEC West and the SEC East. The Pac-12.
Who is top 5? Who is borderline top 5 in the SEC East?
Alabama, Georgia, Missouri.
Those are 2 different divisions.
No, Georgia and Missouri are both in the.
Georgia's not in Alabama's division.
Georgia and Missouri. I said Missouri.
Okay, so that's 1. What's the second one?
The rest of the, Tennessee just beat the living crap out of Iowa in their bowl game.
Yeah, but Tennessee is not a top 5. Tennessee is not a top 10 borderline top 5 team. So point proven, there's not a division in college football where you have to go through 2 borderline top 5 teams just to win your division.
Tennessee took a massive dump when they had to go to Gainesville to play Florida, and Missouri got out the belt and gave them a spanking on CBS.
Well, I will say this.
There's not depth in the Big Ten at all.
I will say this. I kind of missed some of this. I had to go out of the room for a second. Ohio State got spanked. Penn State got spanked, and Iowa got shut out by Tennessee in a bowl game. So I don't know if they're Ohio State without their quarterback, sure.
And Penn State
was deemed not good enough to be a starter, apparently.
But both those teams are better than that, and Ohio State's a lot better than that. I mean, they were down to their true freshman quarterback. They were down their best wide receiver. I mean, I'm not going to really.
Their best wide receiver quit on them, and then their quarterback, who had been starter, was told he wasn't good enough to be the starting quarterback.
So they didn't even play him though. They went down to the 3rd string quarterback. It wasn't even a backup.
He's a 5-star, isn't he?
He's a true freshman, man. You guys get him to come in and play. He was like
the 110th ranked player in the country last year.
Just saying.
He'll probably never start a game at Ohio State.
Oh yeah, and also the other point of this is this was one of the more top. How many playoff selections were as clear cut as this year? Like clearly. You had 4 or 5 teams that were better than everybody else.
This was not cut. This is the most controversial year we've had.
I disagree. You had Washington undefeated. You had 3 undefeated teams that could have made the playoffs. How many years? You had 3 undefeated teams that could have made the playoffs. Alabama obviously went in over Florida State, but in most years. You have a couple undefeated teams, and then you have a wide open spot at number 4 where you're debating, well, this 1-loss team could get in there. Maybe even this 2-loss team could get in there. This year, it was clear cut. You had 2 undefeated teams. You had Texas with 1 loss, and they had beat Bama. And you had that 4 spot, and even an undefeated team got beat out. Think about that. So when we talk about,
you said it was clear cut. It very much wasn't. This was as controversial, as disputed of a selection as we've ever had in the playoff. I mean,
how
have you not paid attention, not seeing how many people are just being raised that Florida State got left out?
Yeah, but the only spot that was disputed was the 4 spot. And think about that. It was disputed between a 13-0 team. Even the year Ohio State made it in 2014, right? They climbed all the way from.
It very much wasn't. At Florida State, it was very much was not clear cut this year. There was a lot of debate.
I think you're missing my point. My point is that you had teams that clearly won their conference, that went undefeated, and the only spot that was really in debate was that 4 spot. Most years, like even the Ohio State year, that 4 spot, Ohio State climbed all the way from, I forget what spot, like 8 to 4. There was no chance of that happening really this year.
It was 6-4. Yeah, that year they went from 6 and they jumped. That was another controversial year. That was another year where it was really hard.
How many years did you have 3 undefeated conference champs?
Not many.
That's my point, though. Is you had clear cut, really good teams. Clear cut. And Michigan had to play Bama, who took out the back-to-back defending champ, beat them, and then they had to play a 14-0 Washington team, so that everybody was like, "Man, I don't know how they're gonna slow this offense down."
Yeah, I mean, but Washington also probably had like the worst defense of any team we played. It was, I mean, I get what you're saying. Like there were 5 teams that could easily make a case, and in my opinion, probably arguably the best team among them really wasn't in contention at all. That's Georgia.
Oh, Georgia?
Yeah.
You think Georgia? Oh my God.
I think Georgia. My personal opinion, doesn't matter what my personal opinion. I think Georgia would beat any team in a series of.
Yeah, but they clearly got beat by a team that Michigan beat and probably should have beat by multiple scores. But yeah, I got you.
We wanted to play Georgia. We wanted for
Michigan. To be clear,
years.
Yeah, to be clear, Michigan clearly had the best unit in college football this year, and it really wasn't close. Michigan's defense is historically great. Historically great. It's up there with 2021 Georgia, 2011 Alabama. So yeah, I mean, I don't care who they would have played. I think they would have beat them.
We called it the beat Georgia drill. We didn't call it the beat Alabama drill. We didn't call it the beat insert SC. We called it beat Georgia because we wanted another shot at Georgia, but Georgia unfortunately wasn't able to get it done against.
And by the way, John. Georgia's biggest weakness this year was defending the run. They got destroyed by Alabama, and then they would have to play Michigan.
Michigan got destroyed by Alabama in the running game too, though. Michigan did.
But Alabama's better at defending the run than Georgia is. That's my point. It's about matchups.
Never mind. I've had that kind of.
Yeah, it's about matchups, and I like either matchup against Alabama. They had a great scheme to defend Milroe. Against Georgia, they would have been able to run the ball on them, and I'm not questioning that defense against anybody. So
no, it would have been a battle no matter what. I don't think there was among the top 7-8 teams this year. I don't think there was much separation at all among them. I think any of them could have beaten any of the other ones. You throw in the four that were there. You throw in a healthy Florida State with Jordan Travis, and you throw in Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State. I don't think there's. I mean, you match any of those teams up against each other. I think you can expect a really good game.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's always going to be good games at the top. I mean, I don't think anyone's thinking it's going to be necessarily a blowout.
That's not necessarily true. I mean, most of these years we've had beatdowns in the semifinals, and budgetings.
Yeah, but you're talking about one versus arguably the second best team. I'm not talking about one versus an Oklahoma. I mean, obviously can end up in a blowout.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying there wasn't one or two teams that were just astronomical.
Shouldn't that be credit to Michigan then that they had to play 2 back-to-back tough matchups?
Oh, it is. It's 100%. I'm not trying to take anything away from Michigan. I'm just saying this year it was to your point that you were trying to make earlier. There was more depth at the very top. It was a fatter tail distribution this year of elite teams than we're used to seeing. Normally, you see Alabama play Cincinnati, or Alabama playing an Oklahoma team that can't stop a running nose.
It's basically a bye week. It's basically a bye week in week 1. This year, Michigan had to go against the SEC champion, and then they had to play a 14-0 Washington team that everyone was like, I don't know how they're going to stop this offense. So
no, they deserve full credit, and they won the games because they earned it. But I mean, it was an unusual year from what we've seen in the past probably like 10 years in college football. Usually there's a little bit more separation between the teams at, the very, very top 2 or so teams and the rest. And this year,
that's true. That's true. I would make the strong argument that
it's a little.
I think the Jim Harbaugh situation.
That's a good point.
I think if Jim Harbaugh doesn't get suspended, I think that team keeps building because when your coach gets suspended and you have all this turmoil, that's going to have an effect on your team. So I think if everything goes on smoothly, I think we're clearly talking about how Michigan was heads and shoulders above everybody else, and there's really no debate. And I think it's impressive that they were able to do what they did despite everything that went on.
I mean, yeah, that you may be right. We'll never know. That's just.
Hey, one thing we do know though, man, 15-0. Hey, John, who got it better than us?
Nobody. Yeah, I mean, let's face it. Sharon Moore, interim head coach, has to go and beat top 10 Penn State. Struggle game against Maryland that was both a combination of a look-ahead game and a look-back game, right? Because you've got your 2 best games sandwiched in between those. And then you got to go and beat, Ohio State, who has their best defense that they've had since 2019. And I think they put together a really good game plan against us, and it really took a heroic interception to win that game. But Sharon Moore got it done.
Hey, and mind you, Sharon was juggling 3 jobs.
Right.
He had to coach the O-line, he had to call the offense, and he had to manage the entire team.
Yeah.
And they still went 3-0 in that stretch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you can't take anything away from what Michigan accomplished this year. I mean, you can't. They had to deal with a lot of adversity. Some might say self-inflicted adversity, but in the end, I mean, they won the games, and that's what matters. They were the team. I mean, you can talk about how much of a jumble there was at the top this year. They're the ones that came out on front. They're the ones that won the games. So.
It does feel good, man. I can't lie. But John, what you think about the future though, man? What you think about next year, man? You think how you feeling, man?
Well, obviously with the celebration last night, I was feeling pretty pumped up. Ward Manuel said that they're working on the extension for Jim Harbaugh. Christmas is also coming in 11 months. So one of those things is going to happen first, either that or the extension. But let's face it, JJ just declared for the draft. We kind of predicted that would happen. I definitely thought it would on our show. I didn't think he was coming back next year. So you're probably looking at Alex Orji, or maybe you go get Talia in the transfer portal, or maybe Jaden Davis will be ready. But I think he's going to need to sit a year and redshirt and learn.
I'm an Alex Orji guy, man.
I think he would be, if he can pass, because we haven't really seen him pass much. If he can pass the ball at least decently, his running ability can take him the rest of the way.
Oh, he's an athletic freak.
I just want to hear the announcers. Orgy in the end zone.
That's going to get so old so quick, though. I mean, that will just.
They'll think of something new.
Zone.
No. I mean, we just need Robert Griffin on every call because he's the only one witty enough to keep that thing going for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but the only problem is there's no ESPN
so corny.
contract, so that's the only negative about it. But who knows, mate?
Get on it, Fox.
So I do think we lost. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say that Jim Harbaugh is interviewing with the Chargers. That has been announced. I believe he's still going either to the Raiders or staying. That's my belief. I don't think the Chargers ownership group is very good. In Vegas, you don't have state income tax. You also have a great ownership that has a great relationship with Jim Harbaugh. He's great friends with Mark Davis. He's friends with Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., who's a minority owner. He can go draft JJ. He can draft Blake Corum. He can draft Keegan. He can draft Michael Barrett or Junior Colson. That's what I would. I mean, but if Michigan matches that, it could be as much as $20 million a year. And I say, pay the man his money.
Yeah, pay him, bro. He got a chance.
Raiders
He got a
offer
chance.
20, match 20.
Yeah, he got a chance to be him and Kirby, man. Him and Kirby, he got a chance to be the two best coaches in college football right now. Period. Point blank. And I hope they do, man, because then they could get, because one thing that's hurt recruiting for Michigan the past couple of years is not knowing if your coach is going to be there. So if they could lock them in, get the ball rolling, they got the formula to win, they got everything down. And honestly, next year I'm excited. I'm excited actually for certain areas. Like I think if Alex Orti's the QB, we got a lot of running backs that could fill the role, and I think that could be deadly. So.
Well, another thing also about if Harbaugh goes to the Chargers, his wife's family lives in California, so that could be another reason why he considers going to the Chargers.
And I mean, and you talked about the ownership group. The Raiders ownership is freaking terrible. I mean, this is one of the worst run organizations in football. I mean, how much money are they continuing to pay their the coaches that they don't have right now?
Yeah, I more meant from the perspective of he is actually friends with Mark Davis and Jim Harbaugh at the 49ers. The big reason that didn't work out was he didn't get along with the ownership and he didn't get along with the GM. So I think that his personal relationship with the ownership is going to play a big role in who and where he goes to.
Yeah. Well, I remember the other day when I did the 25th episode, the Jack Sony with Tyler Rowland, host of Locked On Titans. I asked him if he thought that Jim Harbaugh would consider going to the Titans. And he was just kind of like, no, that's not going to happen. He just seems kind of like a control freak. That's why we had to get rid of Mike Vrabel. That's why Amy Adams got rid, which, I mean, it's like, I wonder, it would be pretty good, but like you said, they're not looking for someone that's, I'm the boss, that's how I run things. They want somebody like a Bobby Slovic or Ben Johnson at the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, like I think the tea leaves in almost everybody I've talked to or I've read, they all seem to think he's gone. Like that almost seems to be a consensus right now that Harbaugh is out of there. I mean, like that's I don't know anything other than, and I mean, I don't know exactly why, but that seems to be like the word on the street right now is that he is.
I think he could definitely go, but I've read a lot too that bottom line, we don't know. We don't know what he's gonna do. He could go, he could stay. I remember when he took the Michigan job, everyone was like, he's gonna stay in the NFL. He's gonna stay in the NFL. And then to everybody's surprise, for the most part, he took the Michigan job. You don't know with Jim Harbaugh.
I don't know. Like his tenure at the 49ers ended independently of the Michigan job. Like that was done whether he got that Michigan job or not.
No, I know, but I'm saying at the time the perception was by every media outlet was that he was going to stay in the NFL. There's no way he's going to college.
Right.
And then last second, he takes the Michigan job. No one saw that coming at the time. So what I'm saying is,
I think that's revisionist. I mean, there was a lot.
That's not John. You know what I'm talking about. John knows what I'm talking about.
He was taking the Michigan.
Niners time was
Sean,
done,
what you're doing is
nobody
revisionist
thought-
history.
No.
No, if you go back and you look at 2014, you look at the media narrative, the reporters, the tweets, it did not look like he was. I mean, I was hoping, but it was very much he might be going to X, Y, and Z NFL team, not the Michigan.
Yeah, that was clearly you got to go back and look, Sean, because I don't know what you talk about, man. Bottom line is,
when they separated from the 49ers, I said, yeah, he's coming to Michigan. Then
you might have said that, Sean. You might have said that, but every media outlet was not saying that. Period. They were all saying he's staying in the NFL. He wants to win a Super Bowl. He lost to his brother. There's no way he's going to go to college and not try to get one back on his brother. Those are all the narratives that were going on at the time. But bottom line is, I don't know what he's going to do. He could go to the NFL, and if he does, bless him. He got us a championship. Build a statue, all that.
Yeah.
You know, if he stays, great. Sign him to a 10-year contract. Let's build this dynasty.
Lifetime.
Out of the way.
Lifetime contract.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Lifetime. Out of the way.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, there's another job that might open up after today in Texas.
Cowboys.
Yeah. An embarrassment that was.
Yeah, but I doubt that he would want to be butting heads with Jerry Jones.
Jerry wouldn't take him. He's got too much of a control desire.
Yeah.
That's why I think Raiders is going
That's
to
why
be
he
the best
stuck
choice.
so long with Jason Garrett, because Jason Garrett's a yes
Yes,
man
man.
type. He goes, yes, sir. No, sir. Whatever you say, sir. Harbaugh's not that kind of guy. Harbaugh's the guy that gives orders. He's not gonna put up with Jerry's BS.
Especially after he just won a title. He's going to be even more confident about how he runs things. So
Exactly. And he's not certainly going to Seattle, because I mean, I don't think
it'd
he's
have to
gonna
be
go
the perfect fit. He has his choice. He really got his choices right now. If it's not the perfect fit, he's not going to do it. He can pick whatever he wants to do.
Jerry Jones has to decide. Is it going to be, does he want to keep full control of the program, or does he want to win a Super Bowl? He needs to decide that, because if he decides I'll give up control to win a Super Bowl, go get Jim Harbaugh, go get maybe he might look at Lincoln Riley to go in there and revitalize the offense. Purple Orca's mentioning that, but Rob J might be right too, because McCarthy is also, just like Jason Garrett, a lapdog, and he's willing to do, yes, sir. Can I have some more? He's very much a Jerry Jones lapdog. So it really just depends on what Jerry wants to do.
If Jerry Jones is going to do that, he would have done it a decade ago.
Hey, John, what are the odds right now? What are the Vegas odds on what Harbaugh's going to do? You know,
I saw the Chargers a couple days ago were at like plus 150, so that's pretty short, pretty good odds. It might have changed.
I think a day or two ago it was minus something that he was going to stay in college, but that could have changed by now. I don't know. Like I said, who knows? But I'm curious what
last year he was interviewing and everyone's like, yeah, he's probably gone, and then now he got this. So I think in reality, this is not a one way or the other, in my personal opinion, like in the sense of like what it means for Michigan or playing against Michigan or anything. This is probably the time that if he's gonna go, he's gonna go.
100%. I mean, he came to do what he came to do, and that was win a national. I mean, he just had the best run that any Big Ten team has ever had. Period. As a coach, no coach in the Big Ten has ever won 3 consecutive undisputed Big Ten titles and had a national championship in that run. Ohio State hasn't done that. Michigan State hasn't done that. No team in the Big Ten has done that. So if he wants to go, hey, man, do what you want to do.
Well, and the thing is, it's like you said, John, Jerry's going to have to decide, do I want to give up control or do I want to keep control? Because, I mean, Jerry Jones is 81 years old. He's already got one foot in the grave. And he's going to have to think about, hey, do I want to go back to the good old days in the 90s with Jimmy Johnson? Or do I want want to keep control. And, I did a reaction video a couple hours ago where I was talking about how Jerry Jones is going to have to decide this off season. Does he want to hire a general manager or just keep control? He's going to have to. He's going to have to do something. That answer may or may not be fire Mike McCarthy, but we will wait and see, especially tomorrow and especially in the next 3 days. We don't know what's going to happen in Dallas Cowboy Nation. But Harbaugh, if he does sign the extension, I know that the condition is for 2024, he can't be looking at any NFL job opening. So would you want to sign that extension if you're Harbaugh?
I mean, honestly, like if you can't sign that where it's literally just one off season that you can't look at a job, then that tells you that he wants to always have that option there. Ideally, I would like him to sign a lifetime contract with a ridiculous buyout, so no NFL team ever hires him. But that's just hopeful thinking.
Right. I mean, it would be. I'm just curious to see what happens. I mean, we know he's obviously not going to the Commanders. Not that I know of.
There's no rumor. There's no smoke linking them together.
So, he's minus 500 to stay in college.
Yeah,
dang, that went up.
This is from yesterday. I couldn't find any from today. But as of yesterday, it looks like minus 500, and then the LA Chargers first, and then Raiders, followed by Commanders and any other team. I don't know. I think I still say it's the Raiders, but
I would pepper some money on both the Chargers and the Raiders in that one. You can shit.
I'll tell you what, though, man.
I think the Raiders are leaning pretty heavily towards keeping Antonio Pierce as their head coach.
Yeah,
there's a lot of momentum behind retaining.
Yeah, because Max Crosby was basically saying, "Look, if you don't make Antonio Pierce our full-time head coach, I'm gonna ask for a trade." And that's your star defensive end right there.
Hey, man, I'll tell you what, though. If they come out with news and it says Harbaugh signs a lifetime contract and there's no more, is he going to leave? Is he going to leave? Look out. Michigan might build a dynasty.
Well, they're going to have to wait and see. And I mean, obviously, we're going to hear news. I would assume relatively quickly, especially if it came to like the Chargers and or the Raiders. Obviously, I think we would hear.
You'll hear it within a month. You'll hear it within a month. You have to.
Relatively quickly.
Within a month. We're going to probably hear it within a week. We'll probably have a good idea a week from now.
I thought about a week to 2 weeks tops. Probably you would hear a decision.
I prefer that. I hate being in limbo.
Yeah, if we don't hear any news about his movement like a week from Wednesday, I think that means he's probably about to sign an extension at Michigan.
Yeah.
Yes. So Don Yee had been probably back channeling with some of these teams, but now you're gonna probably have a 2 or 3 step interview process. Usually there's a Zoom. Then they'll meet each other in person at least once before deciding if it's going to be moving forward or not. Michigan will probably try to counter any offer. That's what we've heard, that President Sanaono and Ward Manuel counter any offer that the NFL puts out, which could be as much as $20 million a year, knowing that Sean Payton got $17 a year when he came back. So Michigan will try to counter, but this may not be about money. This may be about going around the Thanksgiving table, and John Harbaugh has a Super Bowl ring and Jim Harbaugh doesn't yet. And that may be literally the reason that he decides to go.
Yeah. Although I wonder if the Ravens were to finally get past the divisional round, especially if Lamar Jackson can get past it. What do you think the dinner table's gonna be like? I mean, Jim's got the national top. Oh, we beat Bama. Oh, we beat Washington in the Natty. And John goes, yeah, well, I won a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson. Then Mama Harbaugh sitting there going, well, we love you so much. And, Jack Harbaugh's like, John Harbaugh's the best. He's got 2 Super Bowls. Just a joke.
Hey man, they're a competitive family, so I don't know, man. I'll tell you what though, he probably wants that Super Bowl because if he could say, "Hey, I got a national championship at Michigan and I got a Super Bowl in the NFL," he's gonna be like, "I'm one of the greatest coaches to ever coach the game." Period.
No, that's fair. That's completely fair. I mean,
he has a pretty good claim to that already. I mean, look, he built a national power at Stanford.
Hey, I agree with you, man, but I wasn't trying to rub it in like that. But if you agree, then we both agree.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're disputing Harbaugh's ability as a coach, you're just sour.
Oh yeah, he's all-time great, man.
His credentials are really off the charts good.
I think just this run at Michigan, not having top 5 recruiting classes and having the greatest run by any Big Ten coach ever, I think that puts him in the conversation too.
He does get knocked down a bit for bitching out of the 2020 game against Ohio State, but it saved his job. So
3 wins over Ohio State ago, man. We don't care no more. Natty ago, 3 Big Ten titles ago. Old news.
Well, when Michigan won the national championship, December 30th, 2014, Michigan was like, this is exactly why we got Harbaugh. This is exactly why we got him.
Wait.
Yeah. Yeah, that Spanner's family sucks.
I think they won't give him enough control. I don't believe that at all.
Well, he'll never have the control he has at Michigan, that's for sure.
Brandon Staley had tons of control. Brandon Staley was he was a riverboat gambler. He was. You can't tell me he didn't have a lot of control over that team.
Yet today has been a year ago.
They don't have a GM either.
Today has been a year ago that the Chargers pissed away the wild card game against the Jaguars. And who was head coach then? Brandon Staley. My God. I mean, that was basically one of the nails on the coffin of the Staley era.
Yeah. I think they feel like they've got a generational future Hall of Fame quarterback, and they want to do everything they can to maximize his prime years right now. So,
Justin
bring in a great QB coach, who has a proven track record.
Justin Herbert's a tremendous quarterback, but unfortunately, he's never going to be able to sniff a Super Bowl as long as he's in Charger land. I mean, it's going to be like Drew Brees, where Drew Brees couldn't get a Super Bowl until he was able to get out of the Chargers. And then like Phillip Rivers, he could never get the big game to save his life.
That's a completely different. Those are different teams, different eras. I mean,
well, it's basically that if you're in the Chargers, you're never going to be able to win anything. It's just never going to happen.
I mean, people said that about the Lions. I mean, the Lions have won one playoff game. They doubled their playoff win total as a franchise.
But the Lions the Lions realized where they went wrong. They were like, we shouldn't be going after the Belichick assistant screwed us up. Let's go over
there. They never work out. But hey, man, look, it's going to come down to this, because if he stays at Michigan, man, he's got more control than he'll ever have. He pretty much can stay there for the rest of his life. The security of it is there. The NFL, he's never going to have that same level of control, and it's more of a question of a long-term thing. if he goes this many seasons and doesn't succeed the way he wants to, then NFL's quick to fire coaches. So it's going to come down to, one, how competitive is he, and two, he's old. He's 60 years old. Maybe he's just like, you know what? I'm in the perfect spot. I got all the control in the world. I can make all the money I want, and I could be here for life. So we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, I have a difficult time though believing how much he's flirted with the NFL over the past few years that he won't eventually scratch that itch. I mean, like Saban made that when Nick Saban made that move and he came back to college. He was never really mentioned for an NFL job again, and he never really courted it.
Well, that's because he was terrible at the NFL.
No, he was not terrible at the NFL.
He was pretty bad. He was pretty bad.
He was there for like a year and a half, and he had like the worst quarter.
Yeah, and he quit on his team because he was like, "Man, I can't do this, man. I got to compete against Alabama every week." Just like Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer was like, "Man," and I think he actually said that. He was like, "This is like playing Alabama every week."
Urban Meyer did.
He did say that.
It's true. It's true. That's the crazy
thing. Who's this 99 guy? That 99 guy is going to be a real
99 guys on the round.
And it's true. I've always believed that the NFL is the hardest level to coach because it's all about the X's and O's, and you've got to go up against a team every week that's at your level, maybe a little below your level, or above your level every single week.
Well, yeah, and Sean, you mentioned Harbaugh flirt with the NFL for a few years. One of them was the Vikings after 2021. Before
and I thought he was dead gone then. I absolutely 100%. He got on that flight, and he was there on signing day that year. I'm like,
that was the closest.
I'm like, yep, he's gone. He's gone.
If I'm being honest, though, part of that is on the Michigan athletic department not offering him a bigger contract because he's getting paid. I think he's the 11th highest paid coach, but he's winning Big Ten titles. Like, part of that is I don't feel as wanted as I feel like I should be. I'm not getting paid at the level I'm winning at. Part of that is on the athletic department not giving him a proper contract. I would flirt with the NFL too if I felt like I wasn't getting, what I deserve.
Yeah, Ward. I've called on the program on Michigan Live on countless occasions for Ward Manuel to be fired because of this fumbling the bag and many other things. Basketball programs in the shit. They let the softball coach retire. There's countless different things that Ward Manuel has done, but I'd say one of the most egregious is dragging out this contract discussion, having to have the president, Santa Ono, get personally involved with the contract negotiations for your football coach. That's what we call not being good at your job, because usually the president doesn't have to get involved in contract negotiations.
Listen, though. I know that Jim Harbaugh and Ward Manuel don't get along real well. I know there's some history between them, and I know Harbaugh is a stubborn, petty SOB. I mean, like, is that in dispute, John? Am I speaking out of school for that?
No, he is, but you know what? He's
He could be really. It could be really, really difficult. Like Ward Manuel, he might have put himself in a difficult position in these negotiations, but nonetheless, he was in it difficult. Harbaugh, you probably need someone that Harbaugh had a little bit better working relationship with to come in and sort of.
The only thing I give Ward slack on.
Michigan tonight, by the way.
No, we'll switch it up. Real quick, the only thing I'll give Ward slack on is most ADs probably would have fired Harbaugh after 2020, and he chose to stick with him. And that's the one good decision he did make. He chose to stick with him, took a pay cut, and where we're at now. But yeah.
And honestly, like, that was not a popular decision. I mean, I live in Michigan. I know a lot of Michigan fans. It was not. It was very, very much a conventional wisdom that they needed to move on from him at that moment. I didn't understand it at the time. I mean, even at that point, he had a decent amount of success at Michigan. But,
Yeah, Ohio State loved him.
Oh yeah, but I mean Ohio State's
they used to.
Ohio State's in a different situation, especially next year if Day doesn't make the championship game at least, beat Michigan. With the team Ohio State has coming back next year, and they should be number one by every preseason. There's no real argument, I don't think, to not have them been number one.
I would give it to Georgia, but I mean, I wouldn't be mad if they were 2.
1 or 2. I mean, the fire the fire is just going to be insane. If he loses like one game, if he loses like one game in the championship game, and they lose like to Michigan, and then they lose in the playoffs.
I'll say this, man: if he loses that game with the team he has at home, which would be the 4th one in a row, but especially the circumstances, that might be the most embarrassing loss, ever. And he's already got 3 of those. He's already got 3 embarrassing losses.
It would be well. This year, I would not call an embarrassing loss.
I would say losing to an interim coach who's juggling 3 jobs is embarrassing, but that's just me.
I mean, I think losing. I think coming within 40 yards and losing in the last minute by 1.
Yeah, but it was against the interim coach with juggling 3 jobs.
If
Harbaugh's there, it's probably a double-digit victory.
That make a difference. I honestly think the game day aspect of being a head coach is like 5 to 10% of being a head coach. Most of
so
it.
You're saying coaches are overpaid?
No, not at all. Coaches make the program. Coaches, you win or lose based on the quality of your coaching. I'm just saying.
Well, I think it's less that, and it's more the fact that he had to juggle 3 jobs. It wasn't just like, oh, he's the head coach now. He also had to coach the O-line, call all the offensive plays, and make all the final decisions, communicate with all the staff. And he only had 3 games of experience at the time. So to me, losing in that situation,
it's not good. It's not great. But I mean, this was not. These were 2 teams that were nip and tuck real close in quality to each other, and they played a game.
That's a great comment below, man. Corey, you nailed that, man.
Yeah, I can't help but feel that the next few years, like if it's official that Harbaugh is staying at Michigan, I think we're going to see a Hollywood reboot of the 10-year war between Ryan Day and Jim Harbaugh. I think we can.
Oh, he's got to win next year, man. And it's his best opportunity to, considering everyone that left Michigan. They returned absolutely everybody from this team, and they added pieces too. So, and it's at home. Like, you have to win that game. Period. Like, if you don't win that game, I mean, I don't even know what to tell you.
Well, and Will Howard seems to be a better quarterback than the McCord.
I don't know about that, though. I really don't know.
I mean, Will Howard was a very good quarterback with very limited offensive weapons at Kansas State. I think he's an upgrade, and I think he's an upgrade for like one major reason is that you actually have a threat of a quarterback run with them. And
the thing with Will,
there might not be a huge difference. It might not be a big difference at all. I mean, we'll see.
I think people are downplaying how good of a thrower Kyle McCord actually was. And Will Howard, we don't know how good of a thrower he is. We know he can run.
Well,
we know he can run the ball, but
he's throwing the ball plenty. We know he's capable.
Yeah, Will Howard actually can throw the ball. Like when he took over for Rodriguez and stuff at K-State, I was like, oh look, now they have a passing game. Like
he can throw the ball. I don't disagree with that, but I think, can he throw it at the level Kyle McCord could throw it at? Because we saw in the bowl game when Kyle McCord wasn't the quarterback how bad it looked. Now I understand Marvin Harrison Jr. wasn't there, but
Harrison wasn't there to bail him out.
it wouldn't even have mattered if Harrison was there. The O line was a mess because you moved a center who had moved our best lineman over to a position he hadn't played the entire season for whatever reason. I don't know what was going on there. And then the O line fell apart, and you had a true freshman quarterback who had no business being in that game.
Yeah, to me, Will Howard could just be another. Will Howard could just be another. Who was the backup for Ohio State this year?
Devin Brown.
He could just be another Devin Brown to me, but a slightly better runner.
No, the Devin Brown. I mean, Devin Brown didn't get to play enough. That was the biggest bummer. That was the thing I was most disappointed about in the bowl game. Was we had to see a little bit of what we had with Devin Brown, and unfortunately for Devin, since we didn't get to see that, we had to take a safe option, and had to go to we had to find at least competent quarterback play in the portal. And that's
either way.
Will Howard's a pretty high floor guy as a quarterback. He's going to come in and he's not going to be bad next year.
No, I don't think he's going to be bad, but I don't think he's going to be at the elite level of the CJ Strouds and the.
I don't either.
But you know what? Our bottom line is, man, they got to win that game next year because Michigan is losing a lot. They return everybody. It's at home. That's just the bottom line.
Well, the bottom line is here. Everyone has to, for the time being, for this offseason, bow down to the new college football national champions, the Michigan Wolverines.
This is true. This is true, man.
As hard as it maybe is for some fan bases, especially for like Ohio State fans, Sean. It's tough, but hey, every year champion.
And you know what? The sad thing is the Michigan Ohio State game is never going to have that same meaning again. Going forward, because it's just not going to mean as much when you could potentially play 3 times and not everything's on the line.
I mean, as an Ohio State fan who's lived in Michigan most of my life, every year, even if one or both of the teams don't have a whole lot to play for, that game is always off the chain. When one team's way better than the other, it's the intensity of that game of that week is still insane. It is,
but a lot of that too is you're probably only playing once. You're only playing once.
They probably won't play each other multiple times in a season.
Well, they easily could though, because there's no more divisions. There's no more divisions, and it's a 12-team playoff. So let's say they're the 2 best teams, and they play each other.
They'll probably play 2 times, like once every 5 or 6 years, maybe.
But it's a possibility. That's the point. Before, it wasn't even a possibility. And not only that, that game actually was for a ticket to the Big Ten championship and was for a ticket to the playoff. Now it's not really that anymore. Now it's still Michigan Ohio State, no doubt, but a lot of those other factors are just not going to be there.
Well, to be fair,
last year there was, and then I'll shut up. Each team was one score away from the game national championship rematch. So not completely impossible, but that would have been insane. But
that would have been 1 in a million, bro.
I'll say, like, the Big Ten initially with their original before Nebraska or Maryland and Rutgers joined the Big Ten when they expanded to 12. Ohio State and Michigan were in separate divisions those first few years.
No, I don't think.
Yeah, they were. Yep, they were.
No, I thought Michigan State was in the other one.
No. Ohio State played Michigan State for a championship one year. Michigan.
Yeah. Ohio State.
That was during a really down period of Michigan football. Ohio State had their own issues at the time too. So
Ohio State played Michigan State in the Big Ten title game, and I remember they played on Week 5 on September 29th, 2012. So I remember
I'll
that.
tell you, like that was the
on
last year
ABC.
before. That was the last year before the college football playoffs. Michigan State had a team that could have won a national championship that year.
Well, it's too bad Michigan just wasn't that good during that era, unfortunately.
Yeah, but you would during if it were nowadays, yeah, we would have played each other the last week of the season and then a week later. You know,
Yeah, the Legends Leaders Division era really sucked. I mean, it was just, my God. I mean, how can you separate Wisconsin from Iowa and Minnesota? And how do you separate Ohio State? I mean, I think, honestly, they were trying to put Ohio State, Michigan.
Well, I will say it was more even. It was more even, though, because after that, you had the 3 best Big Ten teams all in one division. So, I mean, there's pros and cons.
Even Schmeven, don't separate teams from their rivals. Come on. That ain't cool.
But I mean, like,
No,
they were protected.
agree with
Ohio State and Michigan. Ohio State and Michigan were guaranteed to play.
Yeah, they still always played.
Right. But like at that time, Wisconsin was separated from Iowa, which they basically had to choose. It's either Minnesota or Iowa, which that wasn't cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, gentlemen, once again, we've gone over a lot, and we were going to keep this brief just because otherwise we've been rambling for 30 minutes about NFL on a college football show, which is fine, just fine. But definitely, again, to Michigan Wolverines and to the Detroit Lions for finally doing something.
I just can't wait
in
to
their
be
franchise
king.
history. But to the Michigan Wolverines for their national title win, the retirement of Nick Saban, Alabama replacing him with a great hire, as well as Washington getting their guy.
I do have a little bit of a take on that I haven't heard described.
You weren't here. You weren't here for it. Goodbye, Sean.
No.
What is it?
Okay, so Kalen DeBoer, I was really interested to see what he would do at Washington without the pieces he inherited. I think this was kind of a dream situation. He walked in, he had access to a guy in the portal a truly elite quarterback in the portal. He had ready-made weapons built to run his offense, and they were able to run that at an extreme level. I don't know that he's really produced under enough different circumstances as a head coach to get this kind of job.
Hey, man, no matter how you look at his job at Washington, it's impressive. That is not one of the more talented teams.
I'm not saying it's not impressive, but he had a generational quarterback and he had the weapons to run his scheme, and really that was their whole team.
Hey, look, man, Ryan Day
they weren't great at that many things.
Ryan Day had a generational quarterback. He didn't get to the Natty. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
His original, Ryan Day he brought in Justin Fields.
Yeah, no, but the greatest quarterback ever at Ohio State, C.J. Stroud. I mean, he didn't get to a Natty. He had a much more talented
Justin Fields was a better college quarterback than C.J. Stroud.
I don't know about that, man. C.J. Stroud is the best passer I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
I'm sure
he's really good.
As for John here, I'm sure DeBoer had to explain to Alabama all of his 12 career losses. Yeah, in
I'm sure he has to go back to his NAIA days, like 15 years ago.
No, I think those 12 losses are just.
Are they playing Aquinas College in the schedule next year?
Those, but yeah, it's like
you know he was undefeated versus ranked teams before the Natty. You know how impressive that is.
And he's really good as an underdog. So I mean, there's no worries there.
He's what Ryan Day wishes he was.
Wow.
Oh man.
Wow, the final shot.
I think he'll struggle at Alabama. I really do. I don't think he's walking into a situation that suits his skill sets the best.
So you think he's going to get more talent and struggle?
Hold on. Can I take a shot also?
He had a generational talent. He had an amazing quarterback. You're not going to get that even at Alabama very often.
Sean,
And he's losing.
Sean,
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
DeBoer is 3-1. One of those, the only loss was when he was at Fresno State. He's 3-1 against Oregon. Ryan Day's 0-1.
I mean, look, we already said it, man.
If we want to bring up stats,
the record is changing in about 9 months here.
Hey, I already said it, man. Kalen DeBoer is what Ryan Day wishes he was.
Oh man, you're cracking me up, man.
DeBoer was a great hire. I mean, when Washington grabbed DeBoer, even I said that's a great hire.
He also has
Alabama getting him. I'm like, you know what? You're gonna find out real quickly, and I don't think you'll be disappointed. But we've seen those types of hires go badly too. So
I'll tell you what, he's not going to walk into the passing game that he had ready for him at Washington. He doesn't have a Penix to bring it in the portal, and Alabama doesn't have the weapons that Washington did. And they're losing, and they might not. I mean, the roster will get thin. 2024, I'm predicting will be an unusually uncomfortable year for Alabama. And I don't know how much, and given the expectations there, I don't know how much the fan base is going to tolerate any sort of rebuilding.
Look, man, I'm not going to doubt Caleb DeBoer until he loses more than one matchup versus a ranked team.
That's until he starts losing more than like a couple of games a season. I'm not going to doubt DeBoer.
Yeah, you at this point you got to show me this guy can lose. You know.
I mean, his closest games, you know,
he lost to Arizona State last year, and he didn't win a conference championship.
Yeah, but everyone loses in the desert. And Washington hadn't beaten Arizona State in the desert since Jackson probably for some reason knows this knowledge off the top of his head. Washington hadn't won at Arizona State in like 10 years or something like that. It's just like it was one of the Pacific Northwest curse of going to the
yeah. Not only that, man, you're going from one of the, I think it's like the 30th ranked roster in terms of like recruiting talent to what, top 2. So I'm not going. I'm gonna see what the chef does in the kitchen, man. He's probably gonna cook up a hell of a dish.
We'll also see if they can remain recruiting at that level with him. I think that will also be a more.
They're difficult. In the SEC. They're not going to have no problems.
Yeah.
Even before Saban got there, they still recruited good. Even those years before Saban was there, they were still recruiting very well. Look at Auburn. Auburn, you know, is more off than on, and they recruit great as well. So it's the SEC.
Well, but you're also
they're great at recruiting hookers. Oh, I can't say that on Mark's channel. It's true though. Thank you, Hugh Furies. I just had to throw that out there. All right. Was there anything else besides, obviously, a final thought for you guys, the Michigan people, because this is Hail to the Champion show, for the game that you guys you had to go through? The game was, I will say, it was retrospectively a bit closer than the score looked at the end. Washington really just finally collapsed. Like absolutely just collapsed at the end. They held on for a good while. They did hold on for a good while.
I'll be honest. Michigan was in control of that game the whole freaking game. And they were the only team I saw all year that was able to get any pressure on Penix, to sack Penix, to impact. You know, they had 3 NFL caliber wide receivers. And Michigan was able to just distract it enough. And then obviously from a run perspective, their runner was injured. So Minner was able to just have the 4 interior, the D line, and then drop 7 back and play a mix of man and zone. And just literally all he had to really do was defend the pass because their runner was probably at 50% at best. So Michigan had that game well in hand. It just felt like Michigan was going to break out. It was just a matter of when it was going to happen. It took till the fourth quarter, but it just felt like Michigan was in control, and they were eventually just going to break out and dominate them.
Yeah, and John, they did exactly what I said they were going to do, and that was do the game plan they used against Ohio State for 2 years on defense, and that's exactly what they did.
Right. That's what we were talking about with Tony Altimore as well. So I was on with Tony with Michigan Wolverines Live Special Edition, and we predicted exactly the same thing. They would do the 2021 Ohio State playbook, just like we were able to contain C.J. Stroud. You can't stop C.J. Stroud. You can contain him. You can't stop Michael Penix, but you can contain him enough to score on offense, and that's what Michigan did.
Yeah, the scary part, man, is that defense. A lot of those guys coming back next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the key guys too. Will Johnson and Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, like probably the best players on defense are going to be back next year. Do we have an update on Rod Moore? He's like the last.
Sounds like he's coming back. It sounds like Rob Moore's coming back. It sounds like McCart Page is going to come back. So they're going to have a lot of guys back next year on defense.
It's going to be interesting.
Because they have till tomorrow to declare. So they don't declare.
Yep.
Tomorrow will be the last day.
Jackson.
For final thoughts. Well,
thoughts on, especially with obviously with Saban, as you're the Alabama insider here. You are the one who, personally deals with Saban on a weekly basis in the sense of seeing him, watching him coach.
I'm
not saying meeting him, dealing with him in person, but you know what I mean. Like,
I know, but it would be pretty cool one of these days. But I will say though, it's going to be a wild ride going into 2024, especially with the unknown. And I think it's going to take some time for some of the fans that are saying, "Oh, well, we're not too happy about the Kalen DeBoer." They'll get used to DeBoer, and if they don't, well, that's on them. Because I love the Kalen DeBoer hire. I think it's a tremendous hire for Alabama, and it's like I said earlier. I felt like a truck hit me when I found out Saban was retiring, but that day was going to come. I just didn't think it'd be after the Rose Bowl, which, once again, congrats to Michigan Nation on a fine 2020.
Hey, guys, I do have to tell you something that's funny. Connor Stalions just posted on his, I think his Instagram, that he's outside Columbus with a national championship hat and the rose necklace from the Rose Bowl. This guy is something else, man.
Well, Michigan probably
that guy needs serious intervention.
Well, I
love it, man. This dude, he's hilarious to me.
This guy could detonate a bomb.
Did you see that, John?
Sean, Michigan's going to give him a national championship ring.
I just can't believe it. He's outside the shoe with his I almost don't believe it.
Is Connor Stalions going to get a national championship ring?
Yeah, he is. Michigan.
Hey, the manifesto became true.
Well, and
is he going to be the head coach when Harbaugh gets pulled to the NFL? Because that's the only way the manifesto is going to become true.
I think, honestly, the Nets head coach would be Sharon Moore. Because, I mean, for some of you watching tonight's edition of After Dark, if you look back at some of my appearances on the Ocho, and, if you look back at my episode with John, I've asked the question many times, will Sharon Moore be the next Ryan Day? Especially after how Michigan performed against Penn State and Ohio State. Can Sharon Moore, is he the next head coach in waiting at Michigan?
Yeah. I mean, the answer is absolutely yes. And now that Jedd Fisch is in Washington, Jedd Fisch and Kalen DeBoer were the two that were being thrown around as alternatives. So yeah, I think it's Sharon Moore's job if Jim Harbaugh decides to go pro, and he's been groomed for the job. They'll let just like Ryan Day was at Ohio State, you know. But I think he's even earned it even more because Ryan Day's interim head coach's experience was up against what, like the
Oregon State, TCU,
Oregon
and Tulane.
State. What? Yeah. Sharon Moore had to play against top 10 freaking Penn State with no notice, practically, because it was handed down. The Big Ten punishment was handed while they were in the air during that game.
That's a myth. They knew. They knew.
No, that's not a myth. That's not a myth. That's literally what happened.
Everyone knew well ahead of time.
No, man. No.
They issued the letter 48 hours.
Sean, I like you, my guy, but you're wrong on this one, bro. Everyone was took by surprise. They literally got off the plane and everyone's reported this. ESPN, everybody.
48 hours before them.
Well,
No. I don't know where you getting your news, Sean, but that's not right, my guy. They literally did not know until they got off the plane. They literally did not know.
Okay, so they might not have known, but they knew it was a possibility.
I mean, you could say that's true. You could say it's a possibility, but I think once you're in the air and you're landing, you're probably like, it's probably not happening. The fact that they suspended him when he's in the air was a shocking move, period.
Well, and I'm just curious to see what's going to happen for 2024 for everybody. And I'm glad that DeBoer is the Nets head coach. But before we tune in a little bit, I was going to say that if you love exclusive live streams, watch parties, top-notch predictions, betting advice, insider looks, and all of college football, go to patreon.com/MarkRogersTV or become a YouTube member of the Voice of College Football.
100%. And I would just like to say, man, two things. One, build a statue of Connor Stalions next to Jim Harbaugh. Two, look, man, it's been a hell of a ride. It's been a great time. And this season is not going to be a 30 for 30. It's going to be a movie. Get Tarantino on it. Get Christopher Nolan on it. Get one of the all-time great directors on it because it's going straight to the theaters. A theater near you.
And get like a Margot Robbie scene at the movie theater for that. That'd be cool.
I want Al Pacino to play Hardball.
Al Pacino, 91-year-old Al Pacino.
Yeah, just de-age him a little bit. Just de-age him a little bit. You'll be fine.
The CGI.
Yeah, do like a mafia kind of movie.
Has he ever been in a movie where he didn't have like a huge Italian Brooklyn, New York accent? Though Al Pacino.
Hey man, he can pull it off. Man, I want a mafia style Michigan 2023 season movie. All right, where Connor Stalions. Yeah, Connor Stalions is like the hitman that everybody loves. You know what I'm saying? Jim Harbaugh is the Al Pacino, the Godfather. That's what I want.
All right.
Wasn't Scarface Cuban? So there you go. There's one example.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tarantino should definitely get in on
like a kid from Ohio.
Say hello to my little friend.
Hello.
And with that, once again, everyone, please let everyone know where they can stalk you online really quickly. Except for the bottom two, because those guys don't do anything anywhere.
Hey, has Ohio State posted the score yet?
The score of what?
So in the athletics Twitter, they did. In the main Twitter, they didn't.
I was just wondering.
Ohio State posted the score, but it wasn't in their largest Twitter. It was in the offshoot, like the athletics one.
I'm a little unaware of this controversy here.
Apparently, it's a thing that Ohio State hasn't posted the final score, but they did in the
athletics. Of the game.
Yeah. On Twitter, yeah, it's a thing. Anyway, so my name's John Diadamo. You can find me at John Diadamo on Twitter. I host a couple of shows on Voice of College Football, including tomorrow night, The Ocho. As part of Big Ten Live. 8 p.m. Eastern. Voice
Hey,
College
I'll
Football,
be
as
there.
well as the Ocho. There we go. And then Michigan Wolverines live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. And that's me. Go Blue.
Well, it's my turn. And, for those that are just tuning in, I'm Jackson Johnson. You can find me at YouTube at Jackson Johnson 979, where I have some episodes of the Jacksonian, and then I have some instant reaction videos. You can also find some of my instant reaction videos and episodes of the Jacksonian on Twitter at Jackson09960335. And you can also find some of my updates on Twitter, of course, but you can also find them on Instagram and Threads at Jackson Johnson 543908. And you can also find me, of course, right here on The Voice in College Football here and there.
John, couldn't people find you anywhere?
You can find me outside my driveway in about 25 minutes shoveling for the 6th time this weekend. And I hope I don't die of hypothermia. And this, we're into the negatives right now. -4 degrees, I think we're at. So yeah, wind chill probably like in the -20 range. So yeah. Hopefully you'll be able to find me tomorrow night at the Ocho. Hopefully I won't have turned into an icicle by then. So
Yeah, look, man, you can find me at a movie theater when they played the Michigan Manifesto for the whole world to see. Going over this historic season. You could find me hoping, wishing that Harbaugh gets this contract, this lifetime contract, and you can find me at whatever the next national championship game is at, because we building a dynasty. We coming.
Well, once again, and there's Sean. Hey, don't worry. Down here in Houston, I mean, I live in North Dakota, but down here in Houston right now, it says 32. People are dying in Houston. It is 32 degrees apparently outside. I'm like, oh yeah, people are freaking out right now.
You get any snow?
No. But it's
Hey,
gonna rain,
guys
it'll
are
ice over, and everyone will die. That's just how it works down
Hey,
here.
Sean and Ben are starting to sound like Ryan Day and CJ Stroud after the 2021 game, man. Okay, I know it's cold. All right, I know it's cold.
No, I don't care. I live in North Dakota. I don't give a shit about that. But the people in Houston, they can't drive in rain, let alone just wait till it freezes over or some shit like that. So once again, I'm going to give these guys homework and the chat, because next week I think what we were going to do was the top each panelist here and or in the chat, top 3 games. I'm going to leave it to 3 because there's so many. Top 3 games of the college football season, and we can discuss them next week on the fly.
Oh God, that's gonna be so tough.
That is tough. It is tough. I mean, there's at
There have
least
been
an
some
easy
good ones.
Exactly.
I think I've got 3 on my mind that are just clear cut above the rest.
And that's fair. We can sit here. It's not going to be like a debate. It's just going to be like, bring your top 3, and then we can talk about them, because it is the off season, and the off season sucks. It really, it just started, and it already sucks.
Yeah, and college football has the longest off season of any sport.
Exactly. That's what I have to tell Sam all the time. I'm like, it's only like 4 months. It's like 4 months. That's all you have to deal with for football. That's it.
Yeah, the regular season lasts 3 months, and then they find a way to make the.
I just say 4 just to make it seem larger than it is, but it's short and it sucks. But as for
okay, guys, real quick, I can't believe I just saw this. Did you know Connor Stalions in 2019 posted pictures of him at the Rose Bowl? Empty, is manifesting. This dude is a legend, man. He manifested it all.
This guy,
I can't believe this.
Connor Stalions,
I would be surprised if he hadn't.
Marine, American hero, and we'll see the manifesto
and forever
in the
John, did you see that, John?
Wolverine legend.
I did.
I can't believe this guy. He was literally at the Rose Bowl in 2019.
I'm
Empty.
more amazed that he was at the Rose Bowl this year. That guy.
Bro, this is gonna be. Have you guys seen the
nerve?
Have you guys seen The Dark Knight? You guys seen The Dark Knight, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Okay. They're gonna make a movie kind of like that where there's twists and turns, except he's like the Joker type character. He wins in the end. Man. They always trying to figure him out, trying to catch him, but they can never quite get there. And in the end, he wins. It was all planned.
No Kings of college football. Are they gonna give him the Mark Hamill voiceover? That's my question.
Possibly, man. I still can't believe they haven't caught him that he got away with the CMU sideline thing. They never came out and said that was him. He literally pulled an MI6.
Oh, wait. There's the NCAA has not come out publicly about any of this investigation right now. I mean, that's still, we don't know what's going to actually be revealed and what they're going to do.
I wonder if the NCAA is silent.
I've avoided talking about it. I have avoided talking about it because I would just be talking out of my ass.
Man, I think that would have been pretty quick to figure out. And the fact that CMU themselves didn't come out and say, look, 100%, this is what happened.
It was him. It's not.
I think it was him too. Let me be clear. I think it was him too. But guess what? He's Tom Cruise in MI6, and they ain't catching him.
Dude,
and they didn't catch.
That is definitely. I mean, it's not. You can say, well,
it's him. I agree.
You see the nose. You see the nose is what. If you put them side by side, people have done the overlays, and it's just so like great. Holy shit.
Hey, to be clear, I think it's him, but I think he got away with it because his name wasn't anywhere to be found, and if they talk to the school, they're just going to deny it. Even if someone knew, they'd be like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about. That was so and so."
I do think it was him. It's just so funny because NCAA I think has silenced it because CMU can't find a record, and they're like, "Whoa!" Plus, he was wearing the wrong brand shoes.
Yeah.
He was wearing the glasses with the light, which is someone found that picture of the actual identical one with the camera in it with the blue light. It's amazing stuff. It's amazing stuff.
Yeah, and it's gonna be even more amazing if in the movie or if they do a documentary, they'll be like, man, we think it's him, but we never could confirm. Yeah. We never could prove it. But we think it was him. It's just one of those, man.
Interesting layer too. I guess I didn't even realize this when it happened, but Jim McElwain and several members of Central Michigan staff were former members of Harbaugh's staff at Michigan too. So it's plausible he could have had like some sort of connect. I don't know. I mean,
I want to know how he gets around because he was front row at the Rose Bowl. Like, how did he pull the head off? Like this dude is literally a secret agent, bro. Like he's literally like, I just can't get enough of this guy.
How did he buy a $600,000 home on $50,000 a year?
I'll tell you how. Hey, he's calling Stalions.
He is an entrepreneur. Okay.
He and BC too. Yeah.
Look, man. You know that movie Catch Me If You Can? That's what this is, except he don't get caught.
Yeah.
Dude, I just can't get over how this dude was.
I want to know where this guy's going to be in 10 years. It will
getting paid to tell his story.
I am guessing he will not be in a good place in 10 years. That's my.
He's so loyal. Well, no, I think he's got a lot of money. Actually, I think his family's got money. I think he's got money.
His parents were teachers. They lived in Lake Orient. They lived in
Sean,
Lake
did you
Orient.
know?
That's not a super wealthy area.
Well, hold on, Sean. Did you know that people have looked up their net worth? They get paid $100,000 a year each to teach.
Yeah, that doesn't make you like wealthy. That doesn't make you super.
As a household, they're bringing in $200,000 a year.
Yeah,
that's a decent amount of money.
But that's a good living.
It's good. If all your kids are growing up out of the house and it's just you two, That's a ton of money, especially if you invest it properly. You don't, you're not a big spender. $200,000 a year as a couple. That's a good amount of money, bro.
It's a good living. I wouldn't call you rich if you're bringing in $200,000 a year as a.
I mean, that's literally in the top 10% of people.
Well, this is a whole different topic for a whole different day.
Yeah,
This is why I try to wrap it up, and then someone keeps bringing a goddamn other topic. Then we go off for 20 more minutes.
Yeah.
I am Exploring with Ben from Exploring with Ben and Sam. Please find me here on YouTube. And we'll see you next week to talk about the top games in all of our opinions. Same with you, chat. Bring your opinions for the top games of the 2023 college football season for this long off season as well. And or as usual, please, if you haven't hit the like button, what the hell is wrong with you? We appreciate everyone for tuning in here. As always, we will see you right here next Sunday on the Voice of College Football. Where's my Pop-Tart?
Hey, Connor Stallions, we love you.
Stay tuned for next week, everybody.
Spank that ref.
Go blue.
Spank that ref.
Roll Tide.
Hey, who's got it better than us?